Okay. Thank you, everybody, again for being here. This was a great discussion. I learned a lot myself, which is always a good thing. And I want to comment on all of the questions, of course. Even though it wasn't directed towards me, during the campaign for president in 2008, I was running for Congress, and so I was pretty preoccupied, but I could see what was going on. Okay, we have an interminably long presidential campaign season. Okay, you got the primaries, and then by the time it gets to California, we really don't even have a choice, or there's no choice anyway. We just have an illusion of choice. So it's a crazy, immoral amount of money to spend, first of all, and secondly, most of that money goes to marketing. Change you can believe in. Hope. That's just, I just say it's like putting a new lemony douche or the same lemony douche, or having some douche, put a little drop of lemon in it in a new box, and saying it's something different and encouraging us to buy it, or Minty Fresh toothpaste or whatever. It's just like a new and improved face on the old crap. It's like slapping a coat of paint on a dilapidated building and saying that somehow it's been renovated and it's better. So what makes people who, for 8 years of the Bush administration, really, since Bill's been testing so much, I feel like I have to, who totally went batshit crazy over every little thing George Bush did, why aren't people out in the streets when Barack Obama says he can assassinate people? Why are people out in the streets with these bankster bailouts? The increase of sending troops to Afghanistan, there's a list. Where is everybody? We would be going nuts if George Bush or John McCain did the same thing. And they did. And they would have been. But the only difference is we'd be going nuts. There'd be a movement. And so I say everybody, not everybody, but most people were hypnotized. They're under some hypnosis that somehow, against all previous history, that this was going to be different. That somehow that Barack Obama was going to be different. So I think some people are coming out of the hypnosis now, but it's only what you were talking about. When people are actually, and you said, you don't know anybody who's not suffering the effects of this empire now. Literally, the chickens are coming home to roost. So almost everybody in our level are feeling the effects of our military corporate empire. The thing is about sacrifice is that we can either make it involuntarily or voluntarily. We can reduce our lifestyles. I don't have a car. I don't have a job. I don't have a husband. That's how somebody told me I wasn't qualified to run for Congress. Because I didn't have a car, I didn't have a job, and you don't even have a husband. I was like, well, Nancy Pelosi has all those things. And look what she's doing. Who cares? And so anyway, not only I think do we haven't been asked to make a shared sacrifice. It's just been a few people asking to sacrifice, the soldiers, the families. There's been no increase in war tax or a forced conscription or a shared sacrifice in the last 10 years of the empire. I'm not asking it, I don't even think anybody should have to sacrifice in that way. But I do think that one of our biggest problems is capitalism. And it is forcing where the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. But that, if we're suffering and we're being called to voluntarily sacrifice, then we also have to have a community that has a support system. And one of the reasons I'm able to do this is because I do have a community that's a support system. People enable me to be a full-time activist. But that's what we have to do we have to support people who are making these kind of horrible physical sacrifices that some of us are called to make. So support people who are going on trial, who may have to do some prison time. Support people who are actually in there doing this work full time. And you can support me through here, buy my books or whatever, but we need to be able to support each other. Not only just monetary support, but moral support too. Jesus, when Barack Obama was inaugurated, I felt like the Maytag repairman. I felt like I was the loneliest person on the face of the earth. You know, I felt like all my friends just evaporated, disappeared. Cindy, give him time! You know? 3 days after he was inaugurated, 36 people were killed in Pakistan. I'm like, well, they don't have any more time anymore. Their time is over, you know. So I never shut up, but I lost a lot of friends. And I've joked. I'm almost like, in 2012, I hope a Republican wins, and I'll have friends again. You know, but those are just the fair weather friends. You know, we've actually made a true community of people who have integrity, who have integrity of vision, you know, who never said that killing was okay now that a Democrat is president. So anyway, so those are the true people that we can count on. And so before I wrap up, I do have a story that I'm trying to tell on film called Revolution, a Love Story. And it's about my trip to Venezuela and to Uruguay, talking to President Hugo Chavez, visiting the communes and the missions they have there, talking to people whose lives have been improved by taking power and money away from the elite and a more equitable redistribution of wealth. And telling a story, dispelling the myths and the lies about Hugo Chavez in this country and the Bolivarian Revolution. Those are two of the goals of my movie. But the third goal of my movie is to show people here in this country that you don't have to be afraid of your own power. I think that's what keeps us just paralyzed. Is that we innately know that we have power, but we're afraid of it. You know, sometimes a horrible status quo is preferable to an exciting change. And the revolutions down in South America are, if anything, they're exciting. And they have empowered the people of South America, not the whole continent, of course, but a lot of people in South America. So that's what I'm hoping to do with my movie, Revolution, a Love Story, which I'm hoping to be out at the end of September to be available. I'd love to come to Chicago and do a showing for you guys, for sure, or here or wherever. And the last thing I want to say is Bill talked about how he got disinvited in Wyoming and the name of the organization. What was the name of the organization?
The Institute for Social Justice and Education.
And so the name of the group that pulled out of my event at SUNY Cortland was the Student Center for Civic Engagement. They're the ones that pulled out of my event. So anyway, again, I know you all know you have power, but you have to go and be a model of that power. You know, people look at me, they look at Bill Ayers, they look at other people and they say, well, I can't do what they do. But you can. You can, and people sometimes are intimidated by certain people they see in the media or whatever, but if you go into your neighborhoods and your communities and your groups and your schools and you are proud of your power and you help empower other people, that's when the change is going to really come. So again, thank you all so much for being here tonight.